In Relax, a salmon telling tale, the Year 9 service class aimed to discover the difference and similarities between humans and salmon, explore the salmon's incredible life cycle, appreciate the salmon's significance to our world's ecosystem, learn actively with a distinguished University of Oslo professor and a distinguished Scandinavian fly fisherman. To do so, Year 9C went on a trip to Akerselva to see salmon. We journeyed to find this beautiful species. Some of us saw them, some of us didn't. We walked through Bjornvika and we took a nice boat trip. And we walked on a pathway following the Akerselva. There, we finally saw salmon. They were on their journey to reach their birthplace. This amazing cycle was completed both for us and the salmon. The following film is our attempt not to only share what we have learned about the salmon, but how we can apply such knowledge to life around us.
During the fall, we do something called spawning. The quality of this depends on the river volume, depth, and the temperature of the river. To get to these spawning grounds, we Atlantic salmon must take a journey all the way from the North Atlantic Ocean near Greenland and the North Pole down to rivers in places like Oslo, such as Akerselva River.
But getting to these rivers is only half our journey. We females dig nests called red in the river gravel, and then we lay down our eggs while the males fertilize them. Us mothers usually lay over 1,500 eggs per kilo. The female salmon prefer to have a bigger male to fertilize the eggs in the red.
The males fight each other to see who wins over the female and to see who gets to fertilize the eggs. When this process is finished, most of us salmon end up losing up to 40% of our body weight.
Before we complete our journey and start a new generation of salmon and a new journey to adulthood, we must get past dangers waiting in the river. These are things like the humans and bears. The bears wait in the river for us to come by catching us in the air and fishing us for food. We are a big part of the bear's diet in this part of the year, and by this natural hunting, we help the ecosystem and animals in this cycle.
However, humans are also part of our cycle and can help to balance out the ecosystem. But now in a new era, we are being harvested in levels that are just too much, and overfishing is a recurring problem. We're also being harvested and farmed and not being able to make our journey and always be kept in one place. But for the humans farming us, we are just food.
But if we do finally reach our breeding grounds after we lay our eggs, most of the salmon die and our bodies are nutrients for the trees. The trees end up protecting our fry from the sun and their predators. This is a beautiful cycle that always must be completed. Due to humans, this cycle sometimes can be broken, and we do not have enough trees. Our salmon cannot supply enough nutrients, and the trees die.
Don't humans feel bad for us? If we were the ones that hunt them, wouldn't they get mad? Of course, we can't do anything because we're salmon and we don't have arms or legs. People just think that we're plain old fish, but we're much more than that. We provide life to humans and we help trees and many ecosystems.
From one point of view, you humans think that we are useless, and you are the superior race and are above all. But from our point of view, we provide for everyone and many of you humans, but you do not seem to care enough to help us.
If humans get out of their narcissistic mindsets, then maybe the world could be a better place.
In the fall, our parents laid their eggs and died due to their exhausting, long, and demanding journey. Now we are small eggs. Our eyes are not developed yet, and we remain protected by the gravel that our parents pushed over us before dying. This blanket of security reminds us that our parents successfully completed their mission in life. This inspires us. The water flowing is well oxygenated and keeps us healthy and free from parasites. In the winter, we hatch and we turn into alevins, but we remain under the gravel nest feeding on our yolk, a nutrient-rich sac that hangs below our body. We then start to develop physical features such as eyes. However, like humans, we must face and overcome the struggles of life. Many dangers threaten us, such as dreadful storms, high tides, and floods.
The storms create stronger currents, which makes our journeys even more difficult, because we spend more energy moving forward. Smaller creatures such as shrimp and other types of microplankton are our main source of food. We follow them through the currents of the tides, which allow fishermen to easily capture us.
We spend most of our time in the season searching for food in deep and cold oceans near Greenland and northern Norway. As alevins, we mostly eat small insects such as mayflies, stoneflies, caddisflies, blackflies, and rufous beetles. We also like small amphibians and fish. Like humans, we too have our preferences. When we are younger, we prefer insect larvae, plankton, and more. We continue developing and growing, and soon we are capable of capturing cod, smelt, capelin, and mackerel.
The weather and fishermen are not the only dangers we have to face. Predators that hunt us include orcas, birds, and bears because we are an important part of their food chain. This is because we provide a range of different nutrients and fat. We are always alert and aware of our surroundings. Always being aware of danger can be quite exhausting as we never feel safe.
Unlike humans, we do not fight against each other. We do not feel threatened by our fellow salmons. Other species are our predators. The only exception to this is during the fall, when we fight for a mate.
Activities like fishing is not the only threat coming from humans. Every year, humans dump 8 million tons of plastic and waste into the ocean, and a lot of it ends up in our rivers. We sometimes wonder what we ever did to humans to get them to poison our blood and home. Plastic might suffocate us to death, or it might ruin our digestive system, and we are no longer able to absorb the nutrients that we need to grow and live.
To fulfill our cycle, we face and overcome difficulties not meant to be overcome. We are a key component of the food chain of many animals, including the humans. But humans' irresponsible attitudes towards the environment is threatening our species and affecting the delicate balance of nature.
That brings us to spring. Spring is a season where a lot of change happens. The eggs start hatching in early spring, which are called alevins. Alevins is the second stage of a salmon's life. As you move into this time of year, the salmon start migrating out into the ocean again. The grown-up fish, who have just finished hibernation, go out at once if they didn't die from spawning. The smaller fish, on the other hand, have to wait a little longer. They have just been in the river for about 3 to 4 years, but have only grown about 10 centimeters, so they must wait until they've grown the right size to be able to handle their big journey, and the ocean. When these small fish get to about 12 centimeters, they are known as smolts. This is what we call the teenage phase. The small fish enter their teenage phase in spring, where they start transforming into grown-ups, much like we do.
This journey varies for every salmon, but at some point, when they have grown big enough, they all start heading out to the big blue ocean. Their journey is long and can last up to many months, but they do not travel alone. The smolts have spent most of their lives fighting to stay apart, but when this outward journey starts, they gather and travel in groups as they head out. On their way out, they meet lots of dangers, one being predators. To hide from these predators, they transform into a silvery color to camouflage themselves in this new water environment. The salmon also need to learn the smell of their journey as they go out to the sea so that they can return to their birthplace to spawn in fall. Like Martin Lee Mueller said in his book Being Salmon, Being Human, she is also the unique smell of that one estuary, that place where she once passed from her freshwater youth into her saltwater adulthood.
Another danger that the salmons go through comes to climate change. Droughts can make the water lower and salmons have less water to swim in. This is dangerous because with less water to swim in, there's a higher chance of hitting rocks, which would probably kill them. The reason salmons migrate to the big ocean is because in rivers there's little space and little food. Their diet mainly consists of aquatic insects, but the ocean is big and wide and full of food. The salmons need to complete their transformation into a fully grown version of themselves.
When they have arrived at the open sea, they are less than 20 centimeters long. They quickly move up north, which is where they're going to start eating to grow. Some salmon only stay in the sea for a year, whilst others stay for up to 4. Whilst the journey out was dangerous, being in the big ocean may even be more life-threatening for the salmon. The salmon must find a way to avoid many predators that want to eat them. The big 4 include sea lions, killer whales, seals, and the dolphins. But there are many more. Because of predators, the journey and other things of the thousands of smolts there that make it to the sea, about 95% perish.
There are 4 main chapters in my life: spring, summer, winter, and fall. Let me tell you about summer. First of all, after being 1 to 4 years in the ocean, I come back to my home river. My journey there that I started in spring can be up to 5,000 kilometers long. When I was little, there was a specific scent in my home river. Now coming back to the river, I use the scent to remember how to get back to the exact place where I was born. Since the air in the ocean is wet, the scent is much stronger.
Also, when I can't smell my home river, I use the Earth's magnetism as a map to find my way back. When I'm migrating back, I will find several predators, such as sharks, octopi, crabs, and others. I also face challenges like having to swim up waterfalls. I also have to fight against bears while swimming up waterfalls.
I have to jump up to 3.65 meters high to get over the waterfalls. That is about 18 times my height. After all these long years in the ocean, to finally go back to my home river, the last challenge that I have to beat is the waterfall. I take several tries, each time consuming more and more of my energy. And when I finally make it, I use the remaining of my strength to lay my eggs in the river to perpetuate my species, finally overcoming the last barrier. In summer, when I'm in fresh water, my body starts to change colors, especially amongst my male friends. I start changing into a greenish color. This, however, widely depends on the river I am, or if I came from the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean. Male salmon start changing their jaws into a hooked shape to appear more attractive to females. Another change in my body is that my organs readjust from salt water to fresh water.
While I'm migrating to my river, I encounter humans. They are trying to fish me up as it is fly fishing season. Several of my fellow salmons get caught by the humans fly fishing. They use long rods which are connected to a string. At the end of the string, there is a hook which attracts a salmon to it as it has food on it. The hook then attaches to our mouth and we are pulled out of the river and die.
For a scientist, the salmon is an important vector that transports nutrients among the ocean and freshwater environments. The salmon is a seasonal resource that affects indirectly the food web as part of the diet of aquatic and terrestrial animals. For many, the salmon is just another fish that the ocean offers, but a chef can turn this fish into a beautiful work of art. For others, the salmon is a great source of business that keeps a huge international industry alive, but also the global farming of this fish costs billions in damage to marine ecosystems. And for some privileged minds, the salmon's fight against the force of nature to fulfill its destiny serves as an inspiration to face and overcome the obstacles of life. The salmon is, as many other creatures, part of the perfect balance of nature. We hope that, by showing the salmon's life, its purpose, and its impact in the never-ending cycle of life, we reveal not only the magnificence of this fish, but also we inspire awareness of the importance that each simple creature has to save our main home, the planet Earth.